Hey, good morning, buddy. 10 things successful people never do again. Never go back. What does that mean? From observations of successful people, clinical psychologist and author of Never Go Back, 10 Things You'll Never Do Again, Dr. Henry Cloud has discovered certain awakenings that people have in life and in business. And once they have them, they never will go back to the old way of doing things. And when that happens, they are never the same. In short, they got it. Years ago, a bad decision of mine led to an interesting discussion with my mentor, Dr. Cloud says. I've learned a valuable lesson the hard way, and he reassured me the good thing is once you learn that lesson, you never go back. You never do it again. I wondered what are the awakenings that successful people go through that first change how they do things, which propel them to succeed in business, in relationships, and life. I began to study these awakenings, researching them over the years. Although life and business have many lessons to teach us, Dr. Cloud observed 10 doorways of learning that high performers go through, never to return again. Successful people never again. 10 little things successful people do differently. Number 1, return to what hasn't worked, whether a job or a broken relationship that was ended for a good reason. We should never go back to the same thing expecting different results without something being different. Number 2, do anything that requires them to be someone they are not. In everything we do, we have to ask ourselves, why am I doing it? Am I suited for it? Does it fit me? Is it sustainable? And the answer is no to any of these questions. You'd better have a very good reason to proceed. Number 3, try to change another person. Well, this is a big one. I think one of the reasons I had so much success, have had a lot of success in my business, because it took me about 3 years to figure this out, is that you can't change people. And if there's sometimes people that you really want to help and you want to be successful, but they're just not motivated to do the work. So you're just like pouring water into a bucket with holes. It's kind of a waste, not kind of, it is a waste of time. So when you realize that you cannot force someone into doing something, you give him or her freedom and allow them to experience the consequences. In doing so, you find your own freedom as well. There's no question about that. It just frees you up. When you start working with motivated people really want to improve their situation, you don't have to coerce them, you don't have to badger them, you don't have to do any of those things. You just have to teach them what they need to do to be successful. Number 4, believe they can please everyone. This is a big problem. Look, you can't please everyone. I don't care what you're doing. Someone's not going to be okay with it. So I learned a long time ago, when I was building my business, people would, like my family, when I started building my business, he's never, because I stopped going to a lot of the family functions. I was just working so hard that I missed a lot, or I'd get there late, and then they would start complaining to my wife about he doesn't care about us, he only cares about the business, and he only cares about making money, and I had all those things. And then once I'm having a lot of success and a lot of freedom, we started traveling a lot, and Hector's never around, he's always traveling, he's always, whatever. So the bottom line is you can't please everyone. And a lot of times people just don't, my family didn't understand what I was trying to do. They weren't motivated in the way I was, so for them it seemed crazy to be so focused on doing something. But in the end, it ended up being an amazing thing for me and my immediate family. Once you get that it's truly impossible to please everyone, you begin to live purposefully, trying to please the right people. That's the key, the right people. Number 5, choose short-term comfort over long-term benefit. This is a big, big mistake I see most people make, because a lot of the things that you have to do to be successful make you uncomfortable. I have a saying that, success and comfort are like oil and water. They don't mix. You cannot be comfortable on your way to being successful. Most of the stuff you have to do is highly uncomfortable. But the good news is once you make it, once you become successful, then life gets easy and comfortable. So it's just the way it works. Once successful people know they want something that requires a painful, time-limited step, they do not mind the painful step because it gets them to the long-term benefit. Living out this principle, one of the most fundamental differences between successful and unsuccessful people, both personally and professional. There's no question about that. One of the things I always did, I made any kind of decision in my business life or my personal life, how is this me a year, 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years from now? Is this moving me closer to my goal or away from my goal? And so it was really, really easy to manage, whether I did something or didn't do something by seeing how it was going to affect me over the long term. Number 6, trust someone or something that appears flawless. It's natural for us to be drawn to things and people that appear incredible. We love excellence and should always be looking for it. We should pursue people who are great at what they do, employees who are high performers, dates who are exceptional people, friends who have stellar character, and companies that excel. But when someone or something looks too good to be true, she or it is the world. It is. The world is imperfect, period. No one and no thing is without flaw. And if they appear that way, hit pause. Number 7, they don't take their eyes off the big picture. We function better emotionally and perform better in our lives when we can see the big picture. For people, no one event is ever the whole story. Winners remember that each and every day. And so I think when you're moving towards your goal, you have a big goal. I think one of the things, you have to keep that in the forefront of your mind all the time. I mean, put it on cards, like on your mirror, on your refrigerator, on your visor of your car, in your cell phone, in your, if you have a padfolio, put it in there. I mean, one of the things that's really important that I think that's really helped me is to never take my eyes off what I was trying to do and what the life I was trying to create. And yeah, there's a lot of bumps in the road. There's ups and downs. I don't care what business you're in, you're going to have those. But if you have your eye on the long-term picture of what the payoff's going to be for you and your family, it's easy to stay motivated. Number 8, neglect to do diligence. No matter how good something looks on the outside, it's only by taking a deeper, diligent, and honest look that we will find out what we truly need to know, the reality that we ourselves. Number 9, fail to ask why they are where they find themselves. One of the biggest differences between successful people and others, that in love and in life and in relationships and in business, successful people always ask themselves, what part am I playing in this situation? Said another way, they do not see themselves only as victims, even when they are. I think one of the big problems I see in society today is so many people see themselves as victims, and what happens is when you see yourself as a victim, you lose all power. There's no power left. You give up, you abdicate that power to some other force, some other person, some other something. And you don't need to stay a victim. In fact, you should say, okay, this bad thing happened or whatever, and I'm going to figure out how I can learn from it and how I can, not repeat it. Number 10, forget that inner life determines their outer success. This is huge. This is one of the reasons why personal development, why I talk about it incessantly, because when you grow yourself, when you grow your inner self, you grow that, you all of a sudden instinctively know the right thing to do, the right step to take. I mean, you just do. I don't know how that works exactly, but I know that the more I myself, the easier it was for me to make decisions, to do the right things, to move in the direction of success. So, and it's all side. It doesn't come from the outside. The outside doesn't really affect you unless you allow it to affect you. In the end, it's how you think about things, which is the inner part of your life. It's going to determine the outer part of your life. Life sometimes has little to do with outside circumstances. We are happy and fulfilled mostly by who we are on the inside. Research validates that. And our internal lives largely contribute to producing many of our external circumstances. Not largely, I'd say 100%. And the converse is true. People who are still trying to find success in various areas of life can almost always point to one or more of these patterns as a reason they're repeating the same mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, even the most successful people out there. I know I've made tons of them. But what achievers do better than others is recognize the patterns that are causing those mistakes and never repeat them again. In short, they learn from pain, their own and the pain of others. So I think reading books of, especially biographies of highly successful people, I've never read a biography of a highly successful person that didn't have multiple challenges on the way to be successful. And then you can learn how they deal with them. And then I came to the conclusion, I'm going to have challenges, but this is how I'm going to react when I have a challenge. The key is know that you're going to have them and know how you're going to react before they happen. So when they happen, boom, the challenge I knew was coming, this is what I'm going to do, and you handle it. The thing to remember is this: pain is unavoidable. But repeating the same pain twice when we could choose to learn and do something different is certainly avoidable. I like to say we don't need new ways to fail. The old ones are working just fine. Our task in business and in life is to observe what they are and never go back to doing them again.